the rooftop. All right, we're here live at the Recovery Studio. The Recovery Report live at the Griffin Studio on the rooftop of GlobalPro, celebrating our 100th episode of the Recovery Report live. 10 years right here at GlobalPro, advocating for you, the policyholders, protecting your interests. I couldn't be more excited to be joined by my colleague, August Forte. He's been with me from day one. We've had a heck of a run for the last 10 years. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our bright moments here, August, and being on the rooftop. Right behind us, we're seeing the continued development and projects that are going on in our urban areas. They continue to sprawl into the rural areas, and we're going to see new cities popping up in new areas. And we're always right there on the, right there at the front, making sure that our communities has what it needs, making sure that you as business owners and community associations are aware of your rights and are aware of what's going on in your communities. We want to make sure that you continue to tune in where you get information you can use, whether you're a policyholder that's buying new insurance, or you're going through a renewal process, or suffer from a claim. We want to make sure you have that information. That's what this is all about. Again, 100th episode, excited to be here. So I want to talk about, we have an important insurance special session that's coming up here in the state of Florida. And again, Florida seems to be that bellwether state where a lot of cities or states follow in our footsteps, whether it's through reform for construction or insurance. A lot of those changes start right here in Florida. So it's really important that we pay close attention to this, even in our other markets, whether it's Texas or the Midwest or the Northeast or out West. We want to make sure that you are following the trends that are going on here in Florida. There's a lot of misinformation that we have seen. In August, again, working with me for 10 years now, 10 years, breaking these things down, advocating for policyholders, making sure that they have the information they can use, whether it's, again, recovering from a loss or planning for a disaster or planning for the upcoming storm season. Storm season 2022 is about to kick off. What we're expecting in this upcoming session are potential reforms. A lot of anti-consumer legislation is up for debate. It did not pass, thankfully. Ironically, a lot of the laws that would change a lot of what is going on here today in Florida could be changed or positively impacted if we spent more time enforcing those things than trying to pass just simply more new legislation that, unfortunately, without any more enforcement of it, I'm not sure anything much is going to get more done here. I mean, they claim that there's rampant fraud, but there's actually no process to deal with fraud. I know, August, you and I have seen insurance companies commit fraud themselves. We've seen them intentionally omit line items in a claim. We ask them about it. We show them in their own programs they're using to estimate these damages, what is missing and what needs to be included, and they still don't make the changes. They sit on estimates. They reassign claims over and over and over again. You report them to the Department of Financial Services, and nothing comes of it. And then if you actually read the CFO's newsletter that gets issued every so often when they're reporting on issues of fraud and everything else, most of what you're seeing is in something other than lines of actual property insurance, and mostly related to brokers taking premium money and not actually paying the insurance companies for it. So there's a lot of confusion as to what this anti-consumer legislation will do to change the market and make it more attractive to insurance companies. I don't think it's much of what the legislators are trying to propose now that are being lobbied by insurance companies, because back in 2011 and 12, when we saw so much reform on public adjusting, I mean, you remember that, August? That was crazy. They were taking our fees away. They were restricting how we can practice as public adjusters. They were lowering the fees. I mean, there was so much reform. Many of that was ruled unconstitutional, but there was other legislation that was passed at that time that allegedly was going to fortify our insurance market and make it more attractive. And here we are today, and they're trying to pass even more anti-consumer laws. You just saw today. I saw that there was a notice that there was a lawsuit filed against the Department of Financial Services and the CFO as it relates to some of the legislation or opposed legislation and changes in some policy forms by insurance companies that basically are incentivizing policyholders to waive their rights to attorney's fees and right to litigate, to go to arbitration and mediation. We saw the seat of some of the arbitration after 2017 storm season require that our clients go to New York and impose the New York laws there. So I think if we spend more time looking at what we already have, policing it and enforcing those things, I think August and I can both agree here that I think that U.S. policyholders would be much better off, and I still think that would be an attractive market. But let's make the insurers, let's make them report to us their actual earnings. Let's make them be more honest about what they're doing and how they're transacting. And I think if we spent more time making them report on things, I think we'd see a lot less dissatisfaction. And I've said it before on prior broadcasts, there's a growing dissatisfaction amongst policyholders. They're reporting upwards of 70% are dissatisfied, mostly with claim settlements and practices. And here you have proposed legislation in Florida that's going to, again, strip policies of coverages. It's going to pay less insurance proceeds to the benefit of the policyholder. It's going to let the insurance companies who are reporting billions in profits. You can have brokerage firms, brokers reporting record years of profits. Ironically, in the same year that policies are being stripped of coverage, the rates are going up, and you have brokers reporting massive profits. I just can't quite reconcile how this is all happening, how the legislators are completely numb to this and are literally considering laws that would strip coverage for roofs and increase basically, I think it's going to end up increased cost of insurance. That more people are getting pushed into the surplus lines market, even on the private lines. But I think you need to spend, this is where I want to leave it off, and I want to get into our conversation here with August, is I think we need to get a little bit smarter about the reporting on these issues. We need to look a little bit more closely at the issues that are impacting other lines other than property. We need to look at property a little bit closer. We need to bifurcate. We need to separate the homeowner issues from the commercial policy issues. On the commercial policy side, you have community associations and business owners primarily. Those issues are completely separate and different than your homeowner. Most commercial policies are already in the surplus lines market, but the surplus lines insurers, honestly, it's the wild, wild west. They have the state of Florida requires very little reporting and far less oversight of what they're doing and how they're doing things. We need to get smarter about that, make them a bit more honest about it, make them come to the table with information and real data about what's going on and how they're racking in all of these profits. And I think if we focus and bifurcate and have separate conversations, things impacting homeowners, things impacting the commercial policy market, totally two separate issues, totally different silos of insurance, and I think we'll have a far more honest conversation. I mentioned it earlier in our broadcast about brokers going around, sending around the governor's order in Florida, which talks about homeowner insurance issues. But unfortunately, the legislation that's being discussed in Tallahassee goes beyond homeowner insurance. How is it that the order itself explicitly talks about issues plaguing homeowners, but on the flip side, you have legislation that broadly impacts all of the property insurance market? They're two completely separate markets, and they need to be treated that way. And I think we need to get a bit smarter about it. I think we need to think about it. So, but let's talk about 100th episode. Let's talk about 10 years of kicking ass for policyholders, whether it's placing insurance or covering. August, talk about some of your memorable. Let's talk about day one. Talk about day one, 2012. What's going through your mind? Dan's crazy. What are we doing here?
Yeah, crazy, but I had a lot of faith in you. I had to speak with a few friends, colleagues, just to get some advice on what I should do. It was a big leap. Obviously, working under the great legend Patrick Tanya, it was difficult to do the transition from one company to another. Now, when you approached me 10 years ago, I was definitely scared. It was something that I had to talk with my family about, my wife, and think, is this something I should do? um, it was kind of like a scene from Jerry Maguire. You're like, who's coming with me, you know? And I'm like, thinking in my head, he had me asking more permission, you know? So I definitely enjoyed the time that from day one until now. I've learned a lot. I can't even say how much I keep continuing to learn every single day from you. And unfortunately, when I worked on the pen, I didn't learn too much because, you know, it was what happened, you know, very sad, tragic,
Abrupt.
you know, abrupt, you know, I was definitely like glad to have learned what I could from him, you know, and then doing the whole transition, working under you, learning from you, was definitely a great experience, you know, and still 10 years later, I'm still here enjoying it. I'm happy to do what I do. You know, working with GlobalPro is just a dream of mine.
Yeah, man, $1 billion in recovery that we've done already. I mean, literally tens of thousands of claims that you and I have collectively managed over the years. It's been a heck of a ride. It hasn't always been, you know, bright sunshine like we have today here from the rooftop of the headquarters of GlobalPro, but
it is fitting having this in the background.
yes, the noise of the construction site, the
Hopefully
whistling, the banging, the trucks, the cranes. I mean, you got it all. It's a sign of tremendous amount of progress, and I thought it was a great backdrop to this conversation because we have so many exciting things planned for this year. Certainly celebrating our 10 years, but it's just, you know, we're just getting going as far as I'm concerned. But let's talk about those bright spots. What stands out for you in the 10 years? What is the one thing that you put at the top?
One thing at the top. You know, it's tough. For so long. I really can't pinpoint one. I definitely think one of our can't name the client, but it's an Orlando property. A bunch of apartment buildings that damaged by Hurricane Irma. The insurance company definitely wanted to underpay the claim. It wasn't even being deductible, and obviously we got involved. And the client made a huge recovery. I think that was probably my one point. You know, over the 10 years, is just, you know, working that one claim in Orlando.
No, I know what you're talking about, and I know that that was a tough play too, and we were able to turn it around for our client and really knock it in. And I think one of my bright points in the last 10 years is really all the time that we've gotten to spend together as a team. There's been so many opportunities, whether it's the holiday parties or the celebration. We always, you know, at the end of, you know, at the end of every year, and then during our mid-year kind of meetings that we've had, we always talk about celebrating more. We're never celebrating enough.
It's hard to top every single holiday party because they're always so great that every year, like, how do I top the last one? But they're definitely fun. I mean, without a doubt.
No, I think that I think we need to celebrate more. I mean, we have so much to celebrate. We work so closely with our clients in such difficult situations and in their recovery and their issues. And I think it's so important that we celebrate not only as a team, but with our clients and incorporating and doing these client experiences. And if you haven't seen it online, go check it out on our YouTube page. There's a whole section dedicated to client experiences, these awesome dinners and events and stuff. We just did F1 where we entertained over 24 clients, and it's just an unbelievable experience to get to know them outside of the work environment, the stress of dealing with claims and damages and recovery. It's good just to kind of take a step back, and I think that's the most, you know, having that relationship and being able to do that with our clients, I think it is tantamount. It is a good example of the culture at GlobalPro and what we've been able to foster. But bringing it back to the team, those celebrations to me, whether it's just a simple birthday or the random lunches, and those things have been utterly incredible and so much fun. And it's been so awesome to do those things, to be a part of those things, to be able to spend that time to get to know not only our team, you know, within our office and during, you know, in the grind, if you will, and then kind of letting our hair down, if you will. Not that I really have long hair, but letting our hair down a bit and getting the opportunity to, you know, have some cocktails, maybe eat some food if that's your thing. And, you know, we were throwing axes over the holiday break. I mean, there's so many cool events. I've taken some trips. It's in and around the business, right, where we had to go to the Florida Keys or the Panhandle or the Carolinas, and we had to help a client, but we always find time to pull ourselves out of it, have a dinner, have a lunch, And I think I cherish mostly that time with my team, the time with the clients outside of the grind, where you really get to know them and spend a little bit more time. And I really think that's tantamount to our culture. I mean, look at our shoes right here, right? We are both wearing our fresh kicks. It's become part of the culture. It's something that we certainly cherish here at GlobalPro.
Yep.
It's been a fun and exciting thing. So you got the GP1Rs on, and the old school right there. I love it. I love how we mix it up a bit. But again, that's just something fun, something different. I mean, how many other companies have a culture where, you know, shoes, right? Shoes can bring such a smile. We have a whole charity built around it. Fresh kicks and cuts. I mean, we are all in on this because there's nothing better than getting a fresh cut, haircut, or spending some, you know, getting a fresh pair of kicks on your feet.
You never have too many.
No, you never have too many of them. We've done huge shoe drives where we donated, thousands of pairs of shoes. I mean, it is part of our culture, and so it's rewarding every single year. We do a special edition of shoes just for our team. Again, something crazy cool and fun.
Talk about culture. It's always been like a family since day one. When it was just a family of three, me, you, and Farrah, when we first started out. It's always felt that way every single time. Every single holiday party, every single dinner, every single lunch. It's always felt genuine. It's always been like family to me, and that's why I love it.
It's been great. Let's talk about what to expect the next 10 years. I mean, what do you think? Where are we headed here? I mean, you heard my opening, right?
Yeah,
it was pretty tough, right? I was a little tough on the legislator, tough on the insurance industry, but for good reason.
To go back to the subject, so we talk about how many years we've been doing this. Obviously, you were longer than me, but back in 2011, with the legislator and everything, all the changes, when they, at one point in time, they were prohibiting insureds from hiring public adjusters. Remember, they had to do the claim first themselves, and then we had to get involved afterward. And obviously, that all changed.
Supplemental.
Yeah,
even though they didn't even define that.
They were doing everything they could to prevent us from helping the homeowner. So a lot has changed, and obviously things are going to get better, get worse, but you never know what's going to happen nowadays. And it's trying to keep up with all of the new laws, going to CE courses, things like that. So keep up with everything going on now. It's difficult.
Yeah. No, I think in the next 10 years, I think, hold on to your seats here, particularly in South Florida, right here at the GlobalPro headquarters, on the roof, amazing backdrop. We see development, we see progress, but with progress comes a lot of change. And unfortunately, a lot of the change that we have witnessed over the 10 years, as it relates to policyholders, hasn't been very positive. There's been a lot of anti-consumer, language and added to legislation, added to policies. We're spending more, but I think things can change with the right decision makers, and obviously in the right context. I think there's going to be certainly a dramatic shift over the next 10 years as it comes to insurance. I mean, cyber risk and liability 10 years ago was never discussed. It was really never an issue. Now it's at the forefront. We have a lot of business owners that have been impacted by it. We've dealt with it directly. We are getting consulted with and hired to manage and handle those types of losses. That's, again, something new, something different, something that we didn't see over the last 10 years. Obviously, something we're going to see a lot more of the next 10 years. But every cycle, the cycle you see that's going on right behind me, where you see that boom in construction, we saw it in the last downturn. GlobalPro started in 2012, so just put that in perspective as to we were crawling out of the last recession. We were going gangbusters by the end of that year as far as the economy was concerned. We're in the midst of another cycle. We may be at an inflection point. I was just on a panel just recently where we were talking with several developers about that issue of inflection points. So are we on the up or the down, or are we at the top? Who knows? It's anyone's guess. But there is going to be an inflection point. And when they're in that other cycle, change happens. We start to see different types of claims. We start different types of losses and damages. So I think right now GlobalPro is poised to provide even a massive amount of additional value to our clients, whether it's placing insurance or recovering from loss. It's what we've been doing for 10 years. It's what we're going to continue to do for another 10 years. We keep on growing into more and more markets. We're putting that global in the GlobalPro, that's for sure. And it's with the great help of people like Odess. I couldn't be more humbled to have someone so amazing on my team. And that's why I wanted him to share the stage with me today.
Well,
Day one.
You asked me, like, what is it like for you since, like, I guess day one, when it was that small little office in the gate, size of my bathroom.
I know. Now we're sitting on top of a two-story building, thousands of square feet.
You designed yourself.
Exactly.
Came out great.
Yeah. Some of I would say the brightest minds in insurance. We are insurance coverage experts for sure. I mean, it's humbling. It's I love to reflect on the past, but always look forward. I said it many times to our team privately: patience, persistence, payoff. I think patience, persistence, payoff has been a big part of our culture, guiding light. Spending the time to do our team meetings every Tuesday morning. We talk about goals, smart goals. We plan for what's to come just in that week, but we're always looking to the future. We're doing half year, 1 year, 3 year, 5, 10-year goals. You know, I always had a 10-year plan, right? I can say that we checked off most of those boxes sitting in that very small, humbling little office. Literally my desk was against the door of it. I had to mount my computer screens on the wall because I didn't have a big enough desk to actually have them on it.
I remember I had your goals from 2013.
Yeah.
I took a picture a long time ago, and it was still on my phone. So when you had these goals, and you definitely exceeded them earlier than 10 years.
Well, and we look at them every year, right? So, and I rewrite them because things are constantly changing, and I think that's an important aspect. I think for any business owner out there that's looking for some inspiration, I think we can be an example of it. I don't think without the incredible efforts of all those around me, I certainly don't think that GlobalPro would have achieved what it has. I think you're just as much a part of it as I am, and Farah, and everyone else on our team, whether it's from the marketing to the administrative level, to the adjusters out in the field, to the attorneys, to all of our clients and trusted advisors and partners. I'm so grateful to all of you and beyond thankful for what you've done. I'm incredibly empathetic for those that have suffered loss and damages. We make it part of our culture to give back to the community. For a business owner out there that's just getting started, or maybe you're a couple years into it, and if you don't have a community program, whether it's just charitable giving through money or shoes and shirts or haircuts or something, or just on Thanksgiving going and providing meals to the homeless, you're missing a big opportunity. There's nothing more rewarding. We've made it a mission to partner with leaders in our industries to give back, whether it's through construction and the LBA, whether it's through the Chambers of Commerce, Coral Gables, Miami Beach, the Panhandle, in Texas, Community Association Institute. We've done whatever we can to participate not only in their missions and what they're trying to accomplish, but also incredible charitable organizations like Camilla's House, right? We've done a lot there. The victims from Dorian, when we did a massive drive here, when we're in the midst of construction, we had hundreds of people come out. We had literally thousands of pounds of things that we shipped over. We are on the front lines in the Panhandle after Michael. We were up in 2012 after Superstorm Sandy. I was literally grilling hot dogs in the snow outside of one of the synagogues in Long Island, helping and giving and distributing some of that the food and help. I mean, that's always been so important. I think that's the shoes are fun. The celebrations are great, but I think a big part of our success has been our focus on community, our focus on giving back and being part of the community, trying to do our best to be a pillar amongst leaders in our community to support the efforts of other organizations in giving back. And I know, August, you have been there for almost all those events. And if you weren't, it was due to some other personal things, but it had nothing to do with your desire. I know that's always been an important thing for you, and I again eternally grateful for your commitment to our company and everything else, and your family sacrifice. Because when there's a storm or there's a big event, we are on the front lines. This is a 24/7 thing for us, and 365. But when there's a storm, I mean, there is no turning it off. And I literally look back and it's 30 hours later, and I hadn't slept, I hadn't drank water, I hadn't eaten anything, and I'm, and suddenly I'm suffering from insomnia and dizziness. But not that I encourage anyone to do those things, but that has been the commitment. That's why it's so important for us to be there on the front lines, helping, doing everything. So, August, big goal for 2022, 2023. What are you thinking? What are you trying to achieve here at GlobalPro?
I mean, it may sound a little cliche, but it's definitely like learning more because, like I said earlier, you never learn too much in this industry. With all of the constant changes, it's definitely like learning more about construction. Definitely with things like this in the background, with property damage to condos and construction-related claims. That's where I definitely want to learn more about. That's my goal. To learn more about that.
And our team has had the amazing opportunity to build this building we're sitting on top of, to participate in so many other construction projects that our sister companies are actively doing and developing in property. And we manage property, we own property, and it's an incredible opportunity for our team to advance their skills and knowledge. Unlike many of, unfortunately, the adjusters that we see in the field on behalf of insurance companies, who've never seen a construction site really, and they're really just the bean counter and pushing paper. Our team has real life experience being on site, seeing how things fall apart, seeing how you put them back together, seeing them from the start to finish. It was a great achievement for our team to build this office, this state of the art facility that our clients can come here and enjoy, participate in this, share our space. We're having clients come in and actually teach classes and host their own clients in these environments and do catering and whatever else, and we welcome others to come here and enjoy it with us. That's why we did it. It's an incredible open space, great flow to a kitchen, and now as we are all kind of getting back to normal, if you will, and sharing those opportunities, it's great to have you, to see more of you.
Speaking of opportunity, I remember when I worked for our sister company, Max Pro, where I was doing the project manager work. I learned a lot from that. That was just a huge experience. Just working on an actual construction site, so you can actually say, this is what I did, this is my experience, this is my knowledge from just working on an actual construction job, being there to guide everyone.
Yeah, and that's some of the training that I can say that is absolutely industry leading, that you're not going to see anywhere else. That's what we have here at GlobalPro. It's just a small part of it, but I think it makes a big impact on the claims. It makes a big impact on helping our clients place insurance, looking at the structure of their own businesses, planning for reconstruction, and what's the next steps after we do collect the money that they're entitled to, and while we're working with the insurance companies. And I think it adds so much value, and it's something that many people, policyholders, should consider when they are going to hire an insurance expert to represent their interests, whether that's as a public adjuster or as an owner's rep or a loss consultant or through the appraisal process. That's what we do here at GlobalPro. This has been an amazing, amazing broadcast right here, 100th episode, 10th year, $1 billion in recovery, thousands of clients. We've helped thousands place insurance, thousands more recover from loss. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep doing this broadcast right here on the Recovery Report Live. If you haven't already, you can see the effort that we put into our show here on the Recovery Report Live by having on great people like August and other team members, as well as other advisors and partners in the industry, to make sure that you have information you can use. But how do you stay up to date with this? You hit the subscribe button, you like us and follow us on all our social media to stay up to date, to continue to get these broadcasts, same time, same place, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Recovery Report Live. And we'll see you next week, but we'll be in the studio. We won't be up here enjoying ourselves. We got a bit of a breeze. It's a little hot, but it's going to be a storm season to remember, so make sure you're prepared. This is 2022. We're signing off. Thank you, August. Thank you for joining me right here for the Recovery Report. It's been an incredible experience. All right, so we'll see you next week right here on the Recovery Report Live, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And again, hit the subscribe button, like us, and follow us on all the social media.